Global Business Insights podcast from PS Learning, featuring your hosts Dr. Charlotte de Brabant and Max Kent, bringing you the leading global experts and thought leaders from all industry sectors to give you cutting-edge key insights into the future of business, technology and thought leadership.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our SIPS Germany podcast series. And today's topic is going to be on supplier sustainability, one of my personal passions, to be honest, joined, of course, by my partner in crime, Max Kent, and our dear Jost from the advisory board of SIPS Germany. I'm so glad, Jost, to be doing this recording with you, sharing thought leadership, and especially for our procurement community. Hopefully this will get some food for thought for everybody. Jost, would you like to just start by quickly introducing yourself?
Hi guys, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Just a quick introduction. I'm working since 30 years in the food industry. Out of this, I was 8 years in manufacturing, 11 years in the business and industry catering, 7 years in the airline catering, and now 5 years in the food travel catering. So sustainability in all sectors were all the time a big topic. In the very early days, not so much, but nowadays it is definitely one of the most important things in the food industry.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jost. And let's just dig right into our first question of today. In your opinion, what is supplier sustainability and why is it so important?
I mean, be aware of the environment, both nature and socially, is very important for suppliers. It is important also to demonstrate it to the customers and to produce actually a positive shareholder value, because the sales rate of the product is definitely nowadays influenced by the sustainability behavior of the manufacturer.
Thanks, Jost. And so what are the benefits, do you think, to implementing a supplier sustainability program?
I mean, major manufacturers are already running sustainability programs, and there's numbers are impacting of positive own figures. So, for example, sustainability of soft drink packaging or usage of returnable bottles. I mean, this is a very simple example, but I mean, the customer is looking what I'm buying and what is left over after I used it up. Does it has a positive or negative impact? And therefore, this is super important also for the manufacturers.
Thank you for sharing, Jost. And maybe you can just elaborate a little bit more. How can a company access the sustainability performance of their suppliers?
I mean, the key elements are to identify the products, the important products, the suppliers, and most important is the quantities, to produce actually a balance sheet for the sustainability performance. And here I can only recommend to start with the big manufacturers, because especially the big manufacturers have these figures ready for their customers. And in the moment you actually have these figures from your manufacturers on your own balance sheet, it is also counting for you in your sustainability balance. So therefore, if you're talking about the big manufacturers, then they have it ready and you can use it, and it is immediately has a positive impact on your sustainability balance sheet.
think that's a fantastic way to really look at sustainability in the supply chain from a really good starting point there. Taking things just a little bit wider and more strategic, what do you think are the key elements of a more wide-ranging procurement sustainability program?
I mean, the big manufacturers have already independent sustainability departments in place, which actually have the informations available. The key is actually to talk and to communicate with the manufacturers and to get it from them. Because they won't give it to you by themselves or voluntarily. You have to ask for them. Because nobody really knows, are you interested in this or not? But in the moment you demonstrate your interest, the manufacturer will support you. And this actually makes you also interesting for your customers because you are following up on this very important point.
Jost, thank you so much for sharing. Maybe you could just also elaborate a little bit more. How can a company actually engage with suppliers to improve their sustainability performance?
The engagement is actually pretty simple. You have to find normally via the marketing department, the sustainability department, because that is your main anchor, your main point when you talk to the guys, or the procurement department. And they point you in the right direction. And when you actually explain them what are your points on your sustainability balance sheet, because it varies from product to product a little bit, then they can actually support you with a direct input, which you can then actually use for your balance sheet. So the main point is actually go through the marketing department or the procurement department, and they point you into the sustainability direction, because they are not really working in public. They are actually behind the scenes within the company.
Thanks, Jost. And coming back to that sort of procurement role that you clearly got that much experience in, what are some of the best practices that you use for monitoring and evaluating that supplier sustainability performance?
Yeah, the best practice thing. I was thinking a lot of times on sharing practice on this thing, but this topic is so new. It is really difficult to share best practice. But when we are coming actually to the payout, and is that right? Did I understand your question right? That you're asking actually for the payout?
Yeah. What's the some of those. I appreciate it's a new, it's so new, isn't it? So what some of the things you've seen.
I mean,
so
the payout is actually that when you are using sustainability and you can see actually how your sales figures are implemented influenced positively or sometimes even negatively if the product is not so sustainable, then it is actually helping you in your planning. And when you actually do a preciser planning, you can actually reduce your cost. So, I mean, sharing best practice, who can do how I can do it perfectly is difficult, because it is very individual to your trade, because sustainability is depending on the product. So you have to see, I'm dealing now here with a soft drink, or I'm dealing here with frying oil, or I'm dealing here with organic organic fruit and vegetable. So you can't. There is no general rule. I mean, you really have to evaluate it on the specific product.
Thank you, Jost, for sharing. And maybe just as a final question, you could elaborate a little bit more. How can a procurement sustainability program be actually integrated into a company's overall sustainability strategy? I mean, this is very dear to my heart, just because my previous role at Johnson & Johnson was that. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts here.
I can only say that the first challenge is actually to get the manpower which is required, and to convince all departments involved of the long-term sense of sustainability. Everybody really has to sign up for this. Sustainability has to be driven from the top down to demonstrate that it is wanted, even if cost is involved. As long and long term, it is actually good for the shareholder value. So normally procurement departments are told, save money, save money, save money, get the cheapest. But if you go for sustainability, it is sometimes a little bit more expensive. But long term, it will be cheaper because you will sell more. The customer is willing to pay a higher price because he is doing something sustainability for the environment. So it has to be driven down from the top, and everybody has to be on the same page. If somebody is not on the same page and is working counterproductive, sustainability has no chance. I can only say where I'm doing sustainability, it is actually wanted from the top, from the sea level down, and it is actually I wouldn't call it an order, but it is we are saying we want to be sustainable, we want to drive it. We want to do this, and long term, we want to actually change our portfolio in a sustainable portfolio.
Thank you so much, Jost. That was really, really insightful, and thanks so much for spending the time with us to talk through those points there. Really, really good stuff. Charlotte, I don't know if there's any final words you want to say.
Well, thank you so much for your time sharing your thought leadership to our procurement community and especially to our listeners. Thank you for joining in. And once again, I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.
Goodbye.
The Global Business Insights podcast from PS Learning.
I think that
The Global Business Insights podcast